Read music. May sound very scary and you don't want to do it, it's boring, sometimes it gets you frustrated. It's not at all. See, the easy way is this way. Now, let's have a look at that. This is a treble clef. Treble, it's clef, C-L-E-F, okay? So it's treble like that. Treble clef, okay? Treble clef, meaning right hand. You're going to use your right hand most of the time. It's not always the case, but most of the time you're going to be playing this with the right hand. Okay, let's move down. This is the bass clef. Bass, it's as if you're saying bass, B-A-S-E, otherwise it's double S, okay? But you pronounce it bass clef. Same thing there. It's a bass clef, which technically means left hand, but it's not always the case that you're going to play those notes with the left hand. So now you are one step away from reading this thing, okay? Yeah, now let's move to this square there, or whatever you call it, a rectangle. This one is what we call a stave, S-T-A-V-E. It's a stave. It's about 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So starting from the bottom, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5 lines. And then spaces in between those 5 lines, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So starting from the bottom there, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 5 lines and 4 spaces. That's a staff. This is where you put your music down, okay? And these very same lines and spaces represent white notes. You see the white notes on the keyboard? When you're looking at a piano, all these white notes. And spaces, the line to a space, to a line to a space, it's like that. It's white notes. Don't worry about the sharps and flats, they'll confuse you. Okay, that is the story. And now when you take either one of those two, you take a treble clef, you put it down there, it changes the arrangement of those notes in there, okay? Or you take the bass clef and throw it in there, it changes the arrangement of the notes. But same principle, white notes on the keyboard, okay? So that should be enough. So try to draw that as well and work with it. Let's go down to the bottom picture. Now when you're looking at piano music, most of the time, you will see that there's that thing there which is doing that. And then you usually have 2 steps packed together like that. Usually there's no line in between. I've shown it here with a light blue, but I don't know if you can see it, the middle one. But you see those 2 steps, they are put together like that with that thing which is called a bracket. Sometimes they call it a brace or bracket, whatever you call it. So this is for piano most of the time. And all it means is that you're playing those 2 simultaneously, meaning that within the same count. So you'll be playing those things, okay? Now that is treble clef again in its position, and that's bass clef in its position. If you take notice of the treble clef, you see that tail there. That tail, it's like a circle which is incomplete. It circles that line. You see the second line on the top staff. So this is what we call the G, okay? This is the G. This is the line for a G, okay? And that G is what we call the first G above middle C. Above middle, and my pen is going down, C. Don't worry about the middle C. What is that middle C or whatever? So this is the first G above middle C. And so the treble clef is sometimes called the G clef. And then if we go down and have a look at the bass clef, you see there's 2 dots in there. They are putting that second line from the top, the second line from the top on the staff, they are putting it in between. And that's the F, okay? And this is the first F below middle C, okay? I keep on mentioning middle C, whatever the story is. So that's the F, the first F below middle C, okay? And if you see the line in between, that's the middle C we're talking about, okay? This is the middle C we are talking about. So it's C in between, there's the first F below it and the first G above it, okay? Now, let's have a look on the keyboard. Where are those notes? If you look on the keyboard, there's just too many whites and blacks that confuse you and make you very tired. Now, if you look, there's 2s and 3s. Okay? So if you look at those 2, there's a white note just before them, and that's a C. And this one specifically is middle C. Doesn't mean that it's in the middle of the piano, but it sounds middle. If you don't know how to locate this, you rather take that C and just play any C you see towards the middle then. And then you play the one on top. If it sounds higher, then it cannot possibly be middle C. And then you keep playing that one. And then you play the one below it. Then it sounds bass-like. So this is definitely middle C. This is how you can locate it by sounds. Okay? And then now looking at that first G above middle C, that is the first G above middle C. If you're looking at those 3, the first 2 of the 3, the one in between them, it's a G. So that is the first G above middle C. And those 3 again, the very first white note before them, it's what we call an F, the first F below middle C. So this is like the center of the piano, because every note in between here sounds central, and everything else is going to either side, either bass or higher pitches for women voices, right? So those are the 2 things you are seeing there. On the, you see sheet music, you will see it like that, and then you go down. Okay, that should be enough. That should be very enough. Okay, let's go back to that thing now. You will be asking me questions as to what are these other notes. Now, let's start with the lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as we've seen there at the top. So we said that one is a G, and therefore that one, it's an E. Okay? The very first line on the top stuff, it's an E, and then the second line is a G, and then the third line, it's a B. Okay? And then the fourth line, it's a D, and then the fifth, it's an F. Okay? So we have E, G, B, D, F on the line. And in fact, interestingly, I found out this on the movie August Rush. You see when that girl, Simone Nash, she goes like, do you know your notes? And see here, she mentions the middle C. When she says see here, she presses on the middle C. And then she says, on the right hand, every good boy does fine. Okay? Meaning that every good boy does fine. It's a mnemonic for cramming those notes. On the lines, it's every for E, good for G, boy for B, does for D, fine for F. So every good boy does fine. Okay, and then she plays those notes on the keyboard. Let's have a look. What are they? This is middle C. And then there's that E. Every good, the G, which is that first G above middle C. Boy, which is the B. Does for D. Fine. Okay? So that F there. Those are the notes for the treble clef on the lines. And then she goes like in between. F, A, C, E. Okay? Which is F, A, C, E. So those notes, there it's F, A, C, and E. Okay, it's like a face. If you're going up, you can just say face. So it's F, A, C, E. Now let's have a look on the keyboard. Where are those notes? F, A, C, E. And those are the ones on the lines, okay? Now, we are done with that treble clef. Let's go down to the bass clef. The bass clef, we've already found the F. So the very bottom line there, it's a G. Okay? Then the second line there, it's a B, as you may have guessed. And then the third line, it's a D, as you may have guessed. And then we have that F. Then the top line is an A. Okay? So it's G, B, D, F, A. And you know what that girl says again in that movie? She says, great big dogs fight animals. Okay, that's a mnemonic you can use. For great, it's a G, big for B, dogs for D, fight for F, animals for A, okay? Those are the lines. So let's have a look at those lines. What are they? That's our middle C again, and that's our F there. So the G should be that one, okay? So this is the second G below middle C. This is G, middle C. This is the first G below middle C, and that's the second G below middle C, and that's that bottom G there. Okay, can you see that? So let's play those notes on the keyboard. As you have seen then, it's like G there. Yeah, there it's a G, great, big, dogs, fight, animals, okay? My hands are very distorted and ugly, I suppose, but don't worry about that. So that's the A. So it's G, B, D, F, A on the lines for the bass clef. Now on the spaces in between, let's have a look on the stuff again. We have A on the first space, we have a C on the second space, we have an E on the third space, and a G on that last one. Okay, so it's A, C, E, G. Okay, that's an E there. So that girl again, I'm taking the inspiration from her. She goes like, all cars, as in the ones you drive, all cars eat the food you take in the morning. Gas, gas, as in gases when you're doing physics or chemistry. But you see that gas, it's an American alternative for petrol. You see, we call it petrol in South Africa, but in America they call it gas. So all for A, cars, for C, it, for E, gas, or petrol, for the G. That's what she says, okay? Now those are the notes for those two stops, meaning the lines and spaces. And if you play them all like that, you played what we call a major, C major scale, but we're not going to go to that now. So now you may ask me, what falls into that space? You see that space there, in between the middle C and the top stuff, and middle C and the bottom stuff. So there are two notes on those spaces. As you may guess, that one should be a B, because moving from a B is going to be a C on the line, and then just on top will be a D, so that you have an E. So you have all your notes completed now, moving from line to a space. Now, why am I showing you all this? Sometimes you get a piece of sheet music and you don't know what to do. Sometimes you want to play a song, but you don't know how to identify these notes. So don't worry about the time signatures, don't worry about the key signatures. All I want you to do now, I want you to be able to recognize notes using that thing there. You can make a picture of it. If you're sitting there at home with a camera, you print it out, you have a look at it, you memorize it the way we have. And then when I show a song, usually, or you just get a piece of paper with music notes written on it, then you can just locate those notes on the keyboard. And don't worry about what their names are and how long you should press them down. You go and listen to the song, and then once you get the song, how it sounds like, and by playing those individual notes from having recognized them, you can use that song for the rhythm. So you can technically play the song without having known what note you're playing and how long you should press it down. Okay, does it make sense? Yes, it should. Now, let's cut it here. Let's show you now on the piano how we can apply this information on the next video. Cut.